Hello everyone. I'm Lynn Brucena, founder of Gengis Khan, and I'm running the tech project. And this is Laurent Bazin. Very quickly, the story of Gengis Khan is that we are a movie producer, and then we discovered VR, and we thought, oh, it is so amazing. We have to do something with this new technology. So now we are making also immersive experience. But when we make our first immersive experience 3 years ago, we were already, we asked Laurent Bazin to work with us, so we know each other from previous experiments. And we discovered that it was very hard to capture what was interesting for us in VR. In VR, it's very, the impact of going into the stars is great. You can do anything with VR. You put a headset and you can be transported everywhere. But what is most interesting for us is the very intimate feeling you have to be conscious of what's around you. And the challenge was how to tell a very intimate and very emotional story with this new technology, as you have no frame and no shortcuts anymore like we do in movie. For a movie producer also, what was frustrating is not having close-ups that helps us to focus on information, focus on a face, on a character, and we were struggling with this, and we were struggling even more because naturally you think that if you don't have close-up, you are in VR, you have this sphere you can film into, but if the comedian can't come close to the camera, then you are blocked. And they can't come close because there is the parallax problem, because you have all this camera. And let me show you. When you shot in 360 video, you have here 4 cameras. And when you come close to the cameras, there is a gap between 2 images of the 2 cameras, and you are missing half of the head of the comedian. And we say, okay, for this first experiment, we had this problem, but maybe in 2 years, the camera will be completely different, and we will be able to come closer and to have our close-ups. But months after months, the headsets were improving a lot, the camera, the professional camera too, but they never allow us to come closer. The specification always asks us to stay 1 meter, 1.5 meters away from the center of the camera, and the comedian can't come closer because the obsession of these camera builders was to have a sharp and perfect image, and we want to have close-ups and to tell a story. So we decided to create our own rig, our own camera rig, and we worked on this with Sergio Ochoa. He's based in London, and he's our stereographer on other projects, and also with Cataclac, a Spanish company specialized in building this rig to put all this camera around. So now, 3 years after this picture, same comedian, but on a totally different camera. Here is our prototype, is our new camera we are working on. And on this camera, on this first intuition, how to make a close-up in VR, how to come closer to the camera, we had the opportunity again, thanks to the residency, to work again with Laurent Bazin, and who is now challenging our first intuition and pushing it even further and allowing us to improve furthermore this technology. So please, Laurent, if you want to tell something.
As Lynn said, I'm originally, my main job is to be a stage director. And there is one moment I love in this job is the rehearsal. During the rehearsal, when I work with actors, I'm very close to them, and I can feel the thing between them. They are very close. They are how could I express that? Yeah, it's like that. You can feel the glimpse, the meaning of the glimpse of an eye, even the little tear coming, but you don't see it really, but you know you can feel it, and it's very strong during the process to feel all this intimacy without any verbal dimension. And it's frustrating for me as a stage director when I have to go to stage because all this work disappear and the audience is very far from what I've seen, what I've felt. And when I've seen VR, I say, oh, it's marvelous because it will be the perfect tool to capture this precise thing. But it was frustrating too, another moment of frustration because there was many rules and people told me, no, it's not allowed, you can't come closer. And I say it's very sad because for me it's an anthropological way to transcribe the human experience. And if you know proxemy, the relation between people, the way we are in space reveal many things. Of course, you know about that. If I'm very close to someone, it means something. If I'm far from one people, it means something else. But the camera make a bubble. Actual camera, no, there is a bubble of glass, and it's as you couldn't be able to express anything. I think it's this distance. Okay, if you want to have two people, you have to keep this distance.
If you want a perfect image.
Yeah, a perfect image, or you have to make many.
You can't tell a story like this.
Yeah,
you know?
it's and
you don't care if he's here. I really don't care. I'm just seeing somewhere else.
How could I express intimacy like that? I can say, oh, I can shout, of course, but there are many things I can't express in this combination. So there is, and I think people who are obsessed about technology. They can give the priority to the clean of the picture because it's their obsession. But my obsession, I don't care about, even if the picture is dirty, and in our first movie, sometimes the picture are not very beautiful. I don't care because I want to feel this and
the impact of the bodies.
The impact. And many people in VR, when you work in post-production, often you got this kind of picture. But in this kind of picture, you can't feel the hierarchy of what you really see in the headset. So they see, oh, you see there is a problem here and a problem here and a problem here. And all these people are working about this little problem, and they're right. But we have seen Merleau-Ponty phenomenology of perception. In what I really receive, I don't care about this part. Nothing happened. Of course,
it's very difficult for them to understand because you have to see all these pictures inside the headsets. All the sensation changes completely, and the feeling of the distance too.
Yes.
And here you have the illusion that everything is the
is
same.
equal, but it's not. And it's
in fact, everyone is staring at this guard. You know, they don't care about his feet. It's like just focusing on what's going on, what is going to happen to me. And so that's the kind of hierarchy we are looking to.
And I want to connect it because it's the first time I think about that, about Merleau-Ponty. You know, in Merleau-Ponty, he says there is two kinds of conception. I exaggerate, of course, of space. Geometrical conception. Every part of the space is equal, or the symbolic dimension, the affective, the real dimension. And in space, there are some polarity in the space. Nothing, all this space is not equal. And that's
right now, you are not watching what's going on at the back of the stage of the room.
And this photographic approach don't show it. So we are working now to emphasize the feeling of proximity, and we have to transcribe. I always begin from the personal experience to the tool. You know, in painting, for example, when you want to paint a shadow, you won't paint it black, maybe it will be blue or green. You have to transcribe, to translate, and it's the same in VR. To feel the proximity, I have to feel. That's the reason why sorry. We are in my it's my apartment. It's not only because I'm lazy and I only want to work at home. It's also because I know very well the distance between every object and the people. And when I see the rush after, I can say, okay, so in this picture, I feel they are at 1 meter and 20 centimeters, but in real, I know that they are in 50 meters. I have always to make it organic, to feel it as a painter. Can you show maybe the result?
So just to show you, so we made all these tests in Laurent's apartment, so he knows exactly all the distance, and when he can confront the reality and what's inside, what tells the image inside the headset, and so this is, and that's what we have at the end. So here and here, the camera, the foot of the camera is at the exact same distance of the table, but it's just a little higher and a little lower. And you can feel it's complete perception that is completely different. What's interesting working with an artist and not just with a technician is that when we start the first part of the project, we were focusing on how to fight the parallax, how to come closer to the camera. We managed to come from 1 meter to 80 centimeters to 60 centimeters using the rig and adjusting the camera in the best way possible. But with an artist, it's challenging and he wants now come closer, and we want to 20 centimeters. And we see that it's not only a matter of parallax, it's also a matter of point of view. And there is shades in every, how can I put it? Anyway, it's far more complicated than just a camera. It's a whole direction of the space and the conduct of attention of the viewer, and a very, very sensitive perception of reality and emotions. And so from our first intuition, now we are working on 2 other way of focusing on creating these close-ups. The first way we are working on close-ups is how to show something and make all the rest disappear, and also focusing on one camera and blurring the rest. So we have different other things we are working on, and for instance, just do this on the face of maybe Laurent and me, or just, and then you take your hand off, and the perception here, it seems like the lady in front of me is just so impactful and so is the star of the story, and here she's disappearing. So we have other tools than just hardware to do what we want to achieve. So that's very interesting.
That's there was some kind of taboo. The original meaning, the original purpose, say, okay, how to go closer, and we say only we think, oh, we must have a stereoscopic camera, and we have to improve this stereoscopic camera. And at least we say, why should we use stereoscopy? Everybody think 3D only happens with stereoscopy, but the truth is we could, with monoscopy, have maybe a bigger result, and we can mix monoscopy in one camera and stereoscopy in other camera, and that's my duty as a taboo breaker, I would say, to say, okay, we don't care. Okay, we say we did that, but let's change. And Lynn is right. Okay,
and in conclusion, just to tell you that what was said in the previous roundtable before is true. From the beginning of the residency to the end, the project will evolve and enrich itself a lot, and thanks to this collaboration. Thank you very much.
Thank you.